All right, welcome back. We're going to talk about my actual experience doing the same thing with idea validation, creating and validating the idea before I just invest a ton of time and energy and money into creating a product or service. So, years ago when I first started, I actually had to leave. I was working again at a wealth management firm. And based on regulations in my industry, I couldn't do something related as a side hustle. There's a conflict there. I couldn't do it. So some industries have regulations like that. If I had a different idea unrelated to finance, then I could have pursued a side hustle. But mine happened to be, part of what I do. So I actually had to quit and move on, and start something. I couldn't just work on it on the side. Now, I did start to build content, like on LinkedIn specifically. I started to build content specifically around money, kind of start to build my brand. I wasn't advertising a service. I didn't have anything to offer at that point, but I was just more or less started talking about money. But I had to leave before I could actually, offer a service to anybody. Before I left, I went through this process of offer validation. Originally, what I thought that I was going to do was build out a lot of courses. This was essentially what I was going to build out. But I thought that's what the first thing I was going to do. And so what I did is I started connecting with people on LinkedIn. I started posting, and people that commented and engaged, or people I connected with that I thought were my kind of target audience, I would send them a message on LinkedIn. And I said, hey, really quick, I'm curious. I'm trying to validate an idea that for a business. I was wondering if you'd have some time for a quick phone call, if you'd be willing to help me out. It's all around, helping people with personal finance, younger people. Some people said no, but a lot of people said yes. Like, yeah, sure. So we'd schedule calls. I started taking down notes and I started asking all these questions. And it was a really interesting experience because I learned that what I thought was important to people actually wasn't really important to people, at least not these people. And it helped me see that, oh, hey, actually they have a different perception of, such and such a principle than I do. And I'm not totally dialed in on this yet. I don't exactly know what this market wants. And so I went through that process, but there was enough interest and things like that. I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to leave and then I'll figure it out. So I kept doing this and I kept posting on LinkedIn. And eventually I was like, okay, I got to start building out a course. I got to plan out content and things like that. But I really was hesitant to start building out a course because I hadn't dialed in completely on what people wanted, what people needed. And so I actually hired a coach, and I hired Richie Norton actually. And I hired him because he's created businesses built around his lifestyle, which is what I wanted. And he's created a lot of knowledge-based businesses and helped people create them. So I knew that he had done what I was attempting to do. And so I hired him. And it was a big expense for me, especially with, I'd already quit my job. There was zero income. And I'm like, well, I could just build the course and then try and sell it and go from there. I was like, you know what? I better hold off and I'm going to talk to him. He helped me with a lot of these ideas, but essentially what I decided is I pivoted and said, you know what? The course is not ready. There's not enough. It doesn't make sense to build it because nobody's going to buy it yet. Okay. So I held off and I went the route of doing one-on-one coaching, which still I do some today. So I've thought about building the course though, because I wanted to still reach more people and have a bigger impact with the people that aren't served by the industry traditionally, younger people, and help you get a plan, right? So I thought about doing a course from time to time. I'd send out feelers and I'd put out surveys to my audience, say, hey, if you have questions, boom, here's a survey. Let me know what is on your mind, what questions you have about finances, where are you struggling, all those types of things. And so from time to time, I would do that and I would think about doing a course, but I didn't have validation. It wasn't validated. I didn't know exactly how to be structured. Okay. So fast forward to, several months ago, 6 or so months ago, I started getting a lot of people reaching out to me on LinkedIn. That's how people reach out to me on LinkedIn. They've seen my content, they reach out. But a lot of people were doing it. I didn't have room to take them as one-on-one clients. And some of them were not really in the position to become a client of mine, right? Maybe they were just getting started in their career. It didn't make sense for them to spend that much money to work with me directly. There wouldn't have been as big of a benefit as if they had focused on investing money in themselves and their own skills, to increase their income, different things like that. And so, or some just weren't ready to spend that much because they just weren't ready mentally to spend that much money, which I get. I've been there, right? Richie Norton's coaching at the time. I don't know what he's got going on now, but at the time it was like $15,000. And on zero income, it was quite a sum. So I get not wanting to spend a large amount of money. But point is, I started getting a lot of interest in my services and what I did. But number one, I did not have capacity. I was full. I couldn't take any more clients. And number two, there were a lot of people that were, I would say, that I probably would not have started working with. Even if I had room, I wouldn't have started working with just because they weren't quite at the place where I can, help them the most, working one-on-one. And so then I thought, you know what, this might be the time to do a course. And there's a lot of interest here. Why don't I test the waters again? So I created a survey in Google Surveys. It took me about 5 minutes to do. And you can look at this. So I kind of explain it, what I just explained to you. And then here are the questions. Super simple. If I'm considering building a course, I'm curious. What would you most like to see? And what knowledge and information do you need the most? I'm letting them tell me. I have a pretty good idea because I worked with a lot of people, but I want them to tell me in their own words what it is. Next question. What are your biggest questions you need answered right now? What are the biggest struggles that you have? And there you go. Price point for the course would be somewhere between this range. If the course solved all of your problems you just mentioned, would you buy it? Yes or no? If I decide to do it and build it, then I wanted to make sure this was a product that was good and really address the problem. So I thought of the idea of kind of creating a group of founding members that they would get a benefit of purchasing the course as a discount. And in return, they could provide me feedback to make sure the course was really good from their perspective, right? From the user's perspective, make sure it answered all their questions and it was solid. Okay. So I said, hey, if I decide to do this, I'll probably want some founding members. I'll give you a discount and then you give me feedback. Would you be interested? And then name and email. That was it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or really 4 questions and then name and email. So I sent this out. As you can see here, I got 40 responses. We're not going to look at the responses, right? Because I don't want to show you names and stuff like that. But what we did get is I got a lot of interesting data, really, really good data. So let's look at the summary here. I got a lot of people saying, hey, yeah, here are my things. These are the things I have. This is what I want to see. This is what I want to know, right? Here are my biggest questions right now, on and on and on. They just let it all out, which is gold. This is gold, okay? Because these were more or less my target clients for this type of a course, and they are telling me what they want. How much better idea validation can you get? So they're telling me what they want. Then I said, here's the price point. If that was the case, would you buy it? 27 said yes, 13 said no. Okay, so we've got basically 2/3 that would buy it, 1/3 that wouldn't. That's good information. And then I said, right, the founding members, if you want to be a founding member, I'm going to build it alongside you, give you a discount, and you help me with feedback to make sure it's awesome. Would you be interested? Look at this. 97.5% said yes. 39 said yes. 1 said no. So I sent this survey out, probably over a week span. I sent it out and I sent it out to my email list and stuff like that just to see what would happen. And 97.5% said they would be a founding member and 2/3 said that they would buy it. That to me is pretty high. 27 people out of 40 said they would buy it, just at regular price. Okay, that's pretty good. That's pretty good validation. And then right here, a discount for feedback and being part of it. I mean, can you get better than that? Yeah, I guess you could get 100%. So I decided to go ahead and do it. I was like, great, let's make this happen. And if I get 39 people to sign up, then it'll make it worth it for me, okay? It's almost my own version of Kickstarter, except I'm not on the Kickstarter platform. And so I kind of set in my mind a minimum number, like, okay, I want at least this many people, then it would be worth my time to go build the course. If not, then I'll just wrap it and call it good, okay? So I'm going to show you what I did and how I structured the next step. I'll show that to you in the next video. But at this point, I said, okay, idea validated. If I can deliver on the content they want, then this can be successful. Up till now, I created a 5-minute survey and sent it out into my network, and that's what happened. Okay, so next video, I'll walk you through what I did next.
Validate the dream before you chase it.